理查英语通周三新闻报。各位同学，大家好。我们今天要分享的英语新闻主题为 Can training and environment make up for the 1% difference in DNA between chimps and humans? 紧接着，我们进入到新闻文章的部分。At the dawn of the 20th century, scientists around the world were fascinated by the idea of cross-fostering, raising animal and human babies together in human families. Because of this, several experiments were conducted to compare the development and behavioral changes of humans and animals when raised in the same environment. Of all the related works that were published, The Ape and the Child by Winthrop Kellogg, which involved his observations of raising a young chimpanzee along with his own son, was certainly the most renowned and hotly debated. Since his student days, Dr. Kellogg had dreamed of conducting experiments to understand whether a chimpanzee could grow up to behave or even think like a human. Therefore, on June 26, 1931, Dr. Kellogg and his wife took home a 7.5-month-old female chimpanzee named Gua, with the purpose of learning what similarities and differences would develop between the animal and their 10-month-old son, Donald, if treated alike in daily life. Unlike animals kept in zoos, Gua was dressed like a human infant. She was wheeled in a carriage, sat in a high chair, and slept in a bed. The experiment was carried on with a careful day-by-day record of both Gua's and Donald's body size, reflex, strength, play behavior, obedience, language comprehension, and many other factors. During the experiment, it was found that Gua was able to behave like a human in many aspects. She could eat with a spoon, drink from glasses, open and close doors, and even respond to over 90 words and phrases. Gua was also able to imitate human gestures like hugging and kissing. For a short while in the early stages, Gua actually excelled in many ways compared to Donald, especially in skills like climbing and jumping. With regard to this situation, Dr. Kellogg later explained that chimpanzees reach puberty at about 4 years old, whereas humans reach the same stage at around 12. This meant that chimpanzees mature way earlier than humans, which resulted in the observed phenomenon. However, towards the end of the experiment, it became clear that Gua was falling behind the boy. The reason was simple. Gua had hit a cognitive bottleneck, which limited her ability to understand more complicated commands and complete difficult tasks. In the report of this experiment by Dr. Kellogg, he mentioned that a limited degree of human socializing could be achieved by chimpanzees through training, but the animal would never be able to think or display intellectual abilities like a real human being. The experiment, which was originally planned to last for 5 years, came to an abrupt end merely 9 months after Gua was introduced into the family, when the couple realized that the ape wasn't improving, yet their son started to exhibit ape-like behavior and display aggression. He started to bark and grunt like Gua when he wanted more food, and began walking on all fours just like the animal. While the couple ended the experiment earlier than planned, many still believe that the interaction and mutual influence between Gua and Donald had already led to serious consequences. Donald eventually grew up to become a psychiatrist and lived a normal life for more than 4 decades, and the experiment didn't seem to affect his capabilities or lead to abnormal behavior. Nevertheless, he committed suicide at the age of 43 in 1973, and the exact reasons were unknown. Rumor has it that he actually suffered from adverse effects which originated from this experiment during his childhood. On the other hand, upon the termination of the experiment, Gua was returned to the primate center where she was adopted from in Florida, and remained as the subject of further studies. Before Gua died of pneumonia at the young age of 3, it was said that she didn't recognize her mother and was completely unable to adapt to the lifestyle of the chimpanzee colony due to the fact that she had been raised by the cowlocks like a human for an extended period of time. 接下来是单字与片语的部分，每个单字与片语将会念2次。Dawn, dawn, reflex, reflex, obedience, obedience, comprehension, comprehension, gesture, gesture, puberty, puberty, bottleneck, bottleneck, degree, degree, aggression, aggression, consequence, consequence, termination, termination, colony, colony, foster, foster, renowned, renowned, imitate, imitate, excel, excel, cognitive, cognitive, intellectual, intellectual, abrupt, abrupt, merely, merely, exhibit, exhibit, mutual, mutual, adverse, adverse, recognize, recognize, with regard to, fall behind, fall behind, come to an abrupt end, come to an abrupt end, earlier than planned, an extended period of time, an extended period of time. 最后是我们的相关图片部分。以上是我们今天的英语新闻内容，我们下次见。